Today we're going to talk about the dark night of the soul and how this is a deep, deep lesson in forgiveness. Now we know inside of ourselves that the dark night of the soul is a really tough moment. Emotions are firing off everywhere, and we're faced with the opportunity to deal with most of our fear-based beliefs inside of ourselves as that egoic identity structure in the mind begins to break down. This process can take a long time, but the good news is that the hardest part of it is when we're getting those emotions in the central line of the body, and this tends to only last, can only go from my experience, only lasted about 18 months. And I've seen people go through it quicker now with the people that I'm coaching, perhaps, and I never believed it when he said it, but my teacher said this will always be quicker for the people that are further down the line. Meaning, for my teacher, he was doing his yoga years and years ago. Still does it, of course, but he was doing it a while ago, maybe 20 years ago, and it was a lot tougher then. There was no internet, and not as many people had been through that process, so it wasn't really in our DNA. And so for the pioneers, it always takes a little bit longer. And now for us, because we're going through it currently on a global level, we see it in the world, but for us it's taking a lot shorter time. For me, the real pain took 18 months. I'm still changing, I'm still growing in a big way, and in fact the last month, you've probably felt, has been a very intense month for growth and perhaps for pain, because we don't tend to grow without that pain. But this dark night of the soul experience, I just want to bring a new perspective, because looking back now and looking in myself currently at what's going on with me, my feeling is that the dark night of the soul is offering us, and I didn't realise it at the time, but I see it quite clearly now, it's offering us a lesson in deep self-forgiveness. Now, we don't know why we experience the dark night of the soul, but it's in every spiritual scripture. Most of the religions agree on this one point of the dark night of the soul. And because we don't know why, really, not truly really, my feeling is also that it might just be that we've been prats most of our life, and we've gone around living our lives very unconsciously, hurting people, and of course having the same done by agreement to ourselves. That's the law of attraction in action, and maybe we could say the law of exchange. You know, we're exchanging negative deposits into each other, and this is why we can't escape it. We look around the world and we say, why are people being mean to me, without getting honest with ourselves inside. And this has been my main struggle, is getting honest with my own self inside over the past few years. And as I get better and better and better and better at that, I begin to see, I'm the one creating this mess for myself. So what happens then in the dark night of the soul is we get a lot of emotional pain, mainly prompted, isn't it, by thought patterns, yes, but also sometimes at the start it's so unconscious we don't even recognise what's causing the pain, the emotional pain. So we do our yoga, our sadhana every single day, and that will increase the awareness in the system so that we can become very clear about what it is that I might be doing or accepting or believing inside of myself to be true that's not true. And if you want, down below there's the Dark Night of the Soul course you're more than welcome to sign up for. There's a free breathing practice. There's also some free yoga as well that I'm introducing to people. And there's a free community for people that are going through this awakening process. And so thank you for those that are in there. I appreciate your contributions in there, because it's a place where I can't always be all of the time. And so people are helping each other, and that's really lovely. Also, there's a free awakening coaching form that's free to fill out, but the coaching itself isn't free. But these are all down below, and you can find them in the comments section. Back to the video. The dark night of the soul is happening mainly at least the emotions are happening because we have a memory in the mind that we miss and then feel sadness around, or there's a memory in the mind where we've been not our best selves, and it's all right, that we've not been our best selves, and therefore guilt or shame will come, and we're in this period for a while. We're in a really charged environment. It's like a catalyst for spiritual growth, because as these ideas or memories pop up in our mind, or thought patterns that cause us pain pop up into our mind, let's say we are reminded of a moment when we weren't our highest version and we did something a bit mean or out of alignment with somebody. Well, that inner sting comes, doesn't it? As we almost take a big gulp as we go, oh God, and we fight against it, and we're like, oh, why did I ever do that? Well, the great thing is that this moment now is a wonderfully abundant moment, an opportunity to offer yourself the forgiveness for that action in the past. See, when we react to these things, they come up. It's like a purge, isn't it? I've included this in one of my videos before. It's an emotional purge, the dark night of the soul. But as we're purging, it comes in waves. And as these memories come up to the surface, if we begin to react to them and go, oh no, oh my God, and fight against it and try and suppress it, then it stays inside of us, doesn't it? The only way out of this dark night of the soul is into it. Because these things are going to keep coming up. We've done such good work inside of ourselves that now the lid on Pandora's box has been opened and we can't close it again. So the best way for the most authentic, and sometimes this can take time to be really authentic with ourselves, honest with ourselves at where we are. I know that in me. But the way to go through this with the least amount of pain, I found, even though the pain will likely still happen, because words don't teach, isn't it? It's life experience that teaches. But the best way to go through this is to be able to just begin witnessing those things of the past without that unconscious reaction of, oh God, get away from me, or that inner cringe that comes. And maybe that inner cringe is natural, but remember, it's not about what happens to us that matters. It's about how we respond to it. We have an idea of personal responsibility in yoga. It means your ability to respond to negative things in a positive way, so that we become an inner alchemist somewhat of this pain, and we transmute this pain into something good feeling inside of ourselves. I hope this video helps. I hope that we can give ourselves true forgiveness. What does that look like? Because mental forgiveness doesn't work. If we come up with a pain from the past or something, well, is it really from the past or is it present? Because it's in us now. Well, if we're honest with ourselves, it's present. And it's about, how am I dealing with this relationship with my present moment? Am I wanting to reject it and suppress it and go, oh God, no, I don't want to look at that side of myself that I regret or that I don't like? Or are we going to forgive ourselves? Like I said, what does that mean? Do we say with the mind, I forgive you? Well, you can try that, and that's one stage of trying it. Does it work? No. Because the thing that created these problems were the mind in the first place. The reason I stole that chocolate bar when I was a child was because the ego convinced me that I wanted to rush inside or something like that. The reason I did that silly thing 3 years ago was because I was insecure, and then the ego used a protection mechanism to make me do this, not make me, that's a bit insincere, to convince me that this would be a good action to reclaim some of my security. Well, these things were completely out of alignment, and by saying I forgive myself, we're really bringing in the same material, or we're using the same tool that created the problem to try and solve it. And we know that this doesn't work. We know that Albert Einstein defined the definition of madness as doing the same thing over and over and over again and expecting a different result. Well, this is a little bit what we're doing. So we have to change the paradigm inside of ourselves, and the way that we do this, the way that true forgiveness is done, is just by witnessing, holding space, observing, acknowledging this past pain that I caused myself and that's causing me pain now. And good, so it should, because we were probably an idiot in that moment, isn't it? And so the true forgiveness comes by holding space, acknowledging, okay, this was a part of me. This is still a part of me. But if I can acknowledge it, witness it, observe it, let it go, my behaviour, we would probably say, will never be the same again. I'll never do that action again. And that's true learning. By observing, by witnessing. That's true forgiveness. By not getting involved, that's true forgiveness, because we recognise that which observes. The thing that needs forgiving was never necessarily involved in the action of that thing. Of course, we're a whole, holy system. And so, I try not to get into spiritual arrogance here when I say, was it even you that did it? You're the witness, right? Is this stuff inside really happening to me? Of course, we're both, so yes. But just food for thought, maybe something to look at. I hope this video helps. I hope that made sense. I hope that we can learn to empower ourselves in this witness capacity by just observing these past wrongdoings without getting involved, without taking it personally, and then without self-blaming and self-guilt tripping afterwards, because this is the thing that holds us in the darkness for longer. And remember, this too shall pass. Namaste.